Good morning. We're working on Gem Wars. Where we left off was we had created two prefabs, one for the home and one for the desert. I made a modification on the shader yesterday, so that it is it's essentially making sure that if there's any pixels that aren't white on this render target, then it's going to place them over the top. We're going to add footprints, I think, onto this. So we have a choice where we can either add footprints or we can add the road. It might be easier to add the road. Well, we'll need to make that decision as well. So let's get started, shall we? The first thing is on this map home, I have something here called a current state. And when I click this, I've got two maps visible here. You can see it draws the footprints, and it would, if I had this in portrait mode, we would see it scrolling side to side. The thing is, we only want to show these objects when they are when it's the next state. So on map home, under my map states, I want to add here, this is a game object. And when I look at my map script, we're just going to add in here an array of transforms called our game objects visible. Just a second. Which means up here, we want to have an array of transforms which are called game objects visible. That'll work. And so now, when we do the next state, we're going to iterate through this. So over here, this is going to be logic specific to my current state. And then what I want to do is I want to do a for each var game object and game objects visible. All I want to do is a game object dot set active dot game object dot set active to false. I want to say if my map state dot game objects visible doesn't contain the contains this game object, then I want to set it equal to that. Okay, so now we have these game objects visible, which I can select. As we have a windmill, a house, the castle, a gate, the lighthouse, and the ship. So when this one plays now, you can see all of these objects have been turned off except for the lighthouse. And that's because if I look at my foreground, I haven't cut this out yet. Okay. This spline why isn't it showing where it's at? This spline, if I start this one way farther back here, that gives it a minute, which is good. Okay. And so now, when I go back to my map home, when we have the final one, we have ship, gate, castle, house, windmill, lighthouse here. This one, we don't have the lighthouse or the ship. This one, we don't have the gate. This one, we don't have the castle. This one, we don't have the house. Wait. Oh, crap. So we've got ship, gate, castle, house, windmill, lighthouse. Those are all visible here. We get rid of the lighthouse and the ship for this one. We get rid of the gate for this one. We get rid of the castle for this one. And we get rid of the house for this one. That should do it. So now when I run it, so it's saying state 1. It's the windmill. State 2 includes the house. State 3 includes the castle. State 4 includes the gate. This one includes the ship and the lighthouse. And the last one includes all 6 as well. We run it again. Okay, you can see lighthouses here. Lighthouse. If I open this prefab, it's still there in the foreground. Try it again. Good. Then we go to the next state. Perfect. Next one. Good. Next one is castle. We could speed that one up by looking at this background, this one, and the speed is set in a state. You want spline 4. Here's your map state, and your duration should be like 2.5. Good. Let's extend this spline out this way. And then we'll move this point to match a little bit better. Okay, that's good. This one, we want to bring this way up here. like that. There we go. When I look back at this one, we want to do number 2 one more time. And then let's just go ahead and finish it up. Gate. Let me make sure that when we were at the castle, yeah, see, it's all right. And then our final state is this lighthouse. Perfect. So let's save our states. And now we're going to jump over into the desert prefab. So I have to make an option, a choice here. Do we leave this as part of the map and add footprints on top of it? I say probably. So to do that then, on foreground all, you also have these trails here. So why don't I just open this, move it over here. We'll open up Illustrator. And I want to turn off the scorpion, the cactuses, the camels, the skull, the skeleton. The crevice we can leave. We want to add that in with the spline. Okay, we need to hide these spots. We know that we can see this one here. So we want to add footprints that go around this. So let's add some footprints, okay? So we need to use the pen. And I'm going to start up here in a new layer. I'm just going to follow the road along. I don't like where that one came out. Okay, so that's our first one. And I want to where did it go? Why don't I see anything here? I want this one. With an approximate path. Let me change my workspace here to be one. Now you can see the footprints, they're a little bit hard. So I might need to change the color of them. It also might still be easier to do this. So let's try that real quick. So over here is my footprint. So we'll just make a new artboard. And I'll copy these two in my weird. In my layers, make a new layer, bring these feet over. And this time we're going to change the color. Thank you. I was like, where did this panel go? And we're going to change this color to be a little bit darker. Something like that. And now in my brushes, I'm going to bring up these two things as a pattern brush with nothing on the side. Approximate the path. And then up here, where you have this path, we can add in this darker footprint. Now, I don't think that looks bad. Okay, so we need to set up our different states. We're also going to need to have another footprint here. We also want to have one that goes from here runs behind this okay, same thing again here. Well, let me go back because I don't like how those came out. We want them right in the middle. Okay. Hey there, keeping track of the this account. Hey, the stockbroker. How's it going, man? Welcome back. How are you doing today? Happy Sunday. Let's go ahead and add in the trails on that. Now, we don't want all of those. So I need to delete some of these points. So we can get rid of this one here. That one there. Not that one, but that one. Make these less crazy. And we need another one here. Which is that. If I was to open this up, can I change this to be a add space to fit? Doing well, and you? I'm doing great today. Thank you for asking. Okay, on this one, we want to look at this point and want to take a pen to this. And just go from here to here. And now what I want to do is I want to take this line and what? This line and this line, so they don't quite line up yet. And then I can do a edit object path join. Just trying to get this thing fixed here. Hold on. There we go. we can now fix this line. And we can add in, just forget how to do it. I think I have to be on the pen tool, like that. Okay, and then we can add back in the brush here. Except now it's backwards, so we'll select that path, and it's a edit path, reverse path direction. We'll call this mountain trail. And then we have this stuff arrive because we can spy it from the top. So now we're going to cross. So from here, we'll join it in a second. We want to just go straight across up to I think I want to go to here. Okay? Because if I add back my objects, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to add another brush onto that for this one. And we can take this line and just shrink it a little bit. And then we can take this one again and go from here. Just follow the curve of the path. Like that. And then off the page. Okay. So now we need to make our different states for this. I'm going to make a new sublayer here called paths. We're going to add all of these to it and bring those above the object layer. We're also going to call this a road and road 1. So let's create our states. We have our background with the compass on it. So we can eliminate that. We're going to start with no roads, no paths. We want the border because this is our foreground. We want the canyon. We want that one. We don't want that. Let's leave this one. Take that one away, like that. So this is state 1. And we want to have the road go up to the camels. So we're going to duplicate this layer. I have to do this in Photoshop. So this is our first state. And I'm going to call this foreground state 1. Just a second. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to export this one, which has a artboard of 31. And we're going to call this foreground state 1. We also want to add the compass rose onto this. Let me export that again. Okay, the next state, we're at the camels here. So that will reveal this mountain, this mountain, and goes to here. So we're going to export this one as foreground state 2. And then you're going to cross, and those are sprites. It doesn't really matter if they're sprites or not, right? You could just do it like this. Let's leave it as sprites for those. In the next state, the whole road becomes visible. I'm going to call this foreground state 3. Now I'm going to turn off all the other artifacts except for the trails or the roads. And I'm going to export this one as foreground trails. And then we want to have one for our paths, which is up here. and we want to if I look at this one, let's fix this path. That's good. Same thing with this one. Okay. So we've got path 1. This one for foreground path 2. Foreground path 3. And then foreground path 4. Okay, so when I go back over here, let's start working on this now. So on my map desert, we've got the render target here, which has a sprite. We don't have anything with that for now. We've got our map and we've got our canvas here. These trails we initially had as the roads, so we need to change these. I'm going to get rid of these trails here. We're going to leave this foreground all. And I want to add in get rid of this one. We want this one only because these two come from different layers. Yeah. Let's get rid of these trails here. And now we're just going to open this up and change the size. So if I look at this, we want to cut just this. Halfway there. to there. Image, crop. Okay. So this is my foreground. Let's change the size to be 72, 3200 by 1400. Save that. Now I want to get rid of these trails. Like that. We're going to save this one as state 0. Okay, I'm going to do this in 2 layers. So back over here, we're going to turn off these. Turn on this one, the border. Our objects, we only want that one. That one, and the crevice. Everything else we're going to do. So we're going to call this just foreground. And we need to do this one more time, unfortunately. Image, trim. Image, crop. Change the size to be 72, 3200. Save it. That's the one. So I can get rid of these. And we can bring that one into Unity. Sorry, I see it in my head. Not this one. Bring this one in here. So here in your foreground, you can just have that one. And we want to change this to be in the center, 72 with none. So now my trails let's open this one here. And I want to resize this to be 72, 3200. And we'll change the canvas size to be 2400. Okay, so now we can close this. We make two versions of it. We can call this Trails 0, Trails 1, Trails 2. I can delete all of this stuff here. Like that. And we want this to be white. Trails 1, we can get rid of all of this and change that to be white. Trails 2, we leave everything and change it to white. Okay. Back over in Unity. We're going to bring these three in. Call it a regular texture, read-write enabled with none. I'm going to call this Trail 0. We're going to call this Road 0, Road 1, and Road 2. So we're going to make two render targets this time. So we've got the home one. Let's do a Road 0. Road 1. And Road 2. So here now we can have this as our foreground of being Road 2. We need to have another one of these render targets. And I'm going to move this over to be negative 2000. Let me go ahead and delete this, and instead what I want to do is make a variant called a one of these, and we will make it a variant. So we'll put it at negative 2,000. And now what we need to do is have our trails over here. So this is number 1. Same deal. 72, 3,200. Change the canvas size to be 2,400. Paint it white. Path 2. Change the image size to be 72, 3,200. Change the canvas to be 2,400. Save it. Nope. Paint it white. Save it. The third one. 72, 3,200. Change the canvas size to be 2,400. Paint it white. And the last one. 72, 3,200. Change the canvas size to be 2,400. Paint it white. So we want to change these to be called road. Whoops. We want to change these to be called trails. So now in Unity, I can bring in these 4 trails. Says these things didn't get resized. Is it really 12 megs for each one of these? No. It's not even close. Whatever. Okay. We'll change these to be defaults that are read-write enabled. Change these to be called trail 0. Sorry, trails 2, trails 3, trails 4. So now trail 1 is going to be this one. Trail 2 is this one. Trail 3 is this one. Trail 4 is that one. We can get rid of trail 5. Now we can set these to be 4 and 4. Now it did this because you need to add in another map render target. And this foreground here is your road 2. Like that. This one needs to go to map road render target. Like that. Which means that on my map, on your background, now we have 3 textures we need to take into account. So if I was to look at this shader, what I want to do is we're going to make a new shader on here called Unity multiply 3. And I'm going to call this top one here a road text, which is a texture 2D. Here we want to have a sampler 2D of my road text. This is a float 4 of my road text underscore st. Down here I want to have a fixed 4 for my text road call equals a text 2D of my road text i.uv. This applies logic for the text call and text blend column. So here I want to say my step of well, we could just cheat just to test it, and I could do like a return of my minimum of the text column, my text blend column, and then do that another time of my text road column. Okay, so on this map, I'm going to change this to be a unlit Unity 3, and we're going to add in my map road texture. Okay, it's here. It's looking a little funny. So let's change this here to be the road. Let's change this one to be the trails. I gotta fix this shader. It's a little ugly here. And so now when I look at my foreground here, the second layer, which is the blend texture, is my road. And the third texture is the map render target. Now, it is very unhappy with this import of these trails. No, that's even worse. It doesn't matter. It's coming in. Is it because of this bitmaps? If I look at the render target, I can see it. Did that fix it? Yeah, that fixed it. Easy enough. So we're going to override that for everything. And now back in here, I can say that my logic was like that. And now you can see everything is where it's supposed to be. Now, this says if my text blend column is a lower value than the text column, then it's going to be a 1. Let's just leave it like that for now because it works. Okay. Let's add in the rest of our shapes, shall we? So my foreground, we want to change it to this one temporarily. It looks like this one needs to go in front. So I think we want to put this on the baked layer. Just a second. Well, let's add it here. So let's say we have a mountain and we move that down here. And I change this to be this guy. And we make him 1, 1, 1. Okay. And then I change the foreground here to be this one. These textures are still, that was fine. So it's being mixed here. Like, why did I lose it? Where did it go? Oh, it's in this background. And in our case, yeah, we do need that to be baked in. So we can delete this mountain. And over here, and we'll add it in. And I'll call this foreground 31. Okay, we open it up. We gotta trim it. Okay, go down here. That was weird. Okay, we'll do an image crop. Change the size to be 72, 3200. Save it. Over here now, we can show this in Explorer. I can just call this foreground and just copy this over. I don't know if I'm happy with that. The reason I'm not happy with that is because you want to add it down here. I'm just trying to figure out why this castle, why it's not drawing on top. Mm-mm. go over the top. Bake that into the background. Is that what I want to do? Do I want to bake that into the background? Because it's not showing on top. Because it's this setup as a default layer. So if we change this to be a unlit 2, and I duplicated it and moved one up here, and then this one has the no, because you're changing the actual texture. Well, for this one, what I think we need to do is we're going to make a new background image. With just this one on it. And we're going to call this background 31. Okay, when we open this one up, I know we want to chop off this bottom chunk. Well, let's do it this way then. Almost there. That's why I always try to do this as zoomed out as possible. All right, image crop. Change the size to be 72, 3200. Save it. Now in Unity, I can bring this one in as a background sprite in the center. And then change my background image here to be this one. Needs to be a sprite with read write enabled like that. What just happened? Okay, so here we'll change this background to be that one. And then on my map, we want to do Unity multiply 3 like that. And now we get the steps on the mountain. Okay, let's finish adding in our objects. So when I look at the map here for the foreground, let's change this to be foreground all. We'll bring this one in here to just to be foreground. Like that in the center. So let's add in our objects. This next one we're going to have as a cactus and a fruit. I'll bring this down here. When I look at my sprite, it's a cactus. It is flipped. It's a little bit smaller. And it goes right there. Okay, we're going to duplicate this for the fruit. Make it a little bit smaller. Like that. And that's the cactus one. The next one we want to have is a scorpion. We'll add that here. And we need to change the sprite to be this. over in here underneath Maps All. I need to export this one here. Okay, let's close this file. And then now, if I look at the size of this, we'll go ahead and trim this. Bring it in here. And I'll change the sprite here. We need to make the size different. And we'll do it like that. Okay, the next one are these three. So we're going to call this clay. We'll bring it up here. And I'm going to have a few sprites for this. This is the first one. Which goes right here. This is the second one, which goes up here. This is the third one, which goes there. And the last one goes there. We've got another one here for the skull. We've got another one here for the dragon. And then we want one more for this cactus up here. This one is not flipped. And the fruit is in a different spot. And we can flip that one. We also need to have a signpost. Okay. I think that's it. So now we can change this back to the correct foreground. Looks like we forgot this mountain over here. So let's add that one. Over here, it's the one that's in the next map. And it's this one flipped. Bring this in here. And this is flipped, and it's much larger. Looks like I've distorted it. Okay. The problem with this is now your border is wrong. You almost want to bake this into the background as well. So let's do that. We'll bake those two into the background. And then on the foreground, do we have the compass rose on that? We do. Okay, so this one's done. On the other side, let's cut this one into shape. Okay, right. There. Oh, God. Try it again. There we go. And there we go. Image crop. Okay. Yay, that was fun. Now we need to, whoa. I need to change the size to be 72 by 3200, and we'll make this by 2400. And then change the canvas size to be 3200. Patrick, how are you doing, man? It's been a long time. You know, you can hold shift to add to the selection. I think it's alt to remove. Yeah, I know some of the shortcuts, not all of them. I know a lot more from Illustrator. How you been, man? It's been a while. Let me bring this one in. Change this to be background. And we'll make this in the center. It's been busy. That's good, man. Better to be busy than not, you know what I mean? How's your pandemic? Like that. Okay, so now if I was to drag around this signpost, That's odd. Good. It's doing the layering right. What am I doing? Like right now, we're making maps with render targets and splines. Okay, so that's done. This texture still looks like crap, but I'm okay with it. And now, let's go ahead and set our states. So in the desert, we've got our player, a render target camera, a render camera foreground and background, our reveal. We need to go make a new script. Called map state desert SO. And then this is going to be in the here we have a map desert script. Which has a map desert state type. And the states are camels, cactus, scorpion, crossing, skull, and dragon bones. So you want to get the one where this is a map state desert SO and the state is the same. Now you were doing this to place the ship, which we don't need to do now, so that's okay. When we set our states, we want to get the one which is equal to map state desert. Like that. We set the spline. We set the material for our render target image background. We set all the objects false. Okay, let me open this back up here. This, we want to do a switch on my current state. So when I look at the map script, when I start this thing down here, we want to do a public override start movement. You're creating the new render texture here, so we want to make another one of these called render texture road with a material and a number of these colors. So your texture here let's take a look at what we've got so far. So if I scrap this, and we want to add the map desert script, this is my player. My render target camera, we're going to just set it to the main one right now. The render target foreground, the render target background. We'll say we have one state. We need to create a new map desert state called map desert state 0. We'll say that this one lasts 5 seconds. My foreground is trail 1. My background is initial. We're going to the camels. Add that onto my new map called map desert. We'll add both of those onto the asset database. Second for it to load. Come on. It takes just a second here. There we go. And now we can bring in the map desert and the map desert state 0. So now when I look at this, this is my state. My game objects visible are just the camels. And we need to add in the Bezier spline now. So we'll create a new game object. Call it spline trail 1. And I want to add a new Bezier spline to it. Okay, we're going to move our points now. Why is this exactly the wrong length? There we go. So we want to go down to here with our next point here. And then we'll take this point at the top to do something like that. Turn that off. In the map, I'll add the spline to it, and we'll give it a run. It says the manager doesn't have this prefab assigned to it. Few more errors here. Spline walker needs a spline. The background is trail 1. And the foreground is initial. Right. Right. That should be fine. So let's step through and see what's happening here. Oh. What are you talking about? Okay, so that time it worked. But I never saw it start the movement. What is going on here? But it's not airing here. Why isn't it doing anything? Bizarre. Okay, so it says that one of my errors is that these things are in here twice. So now we'll try it again. Start it. Okay, so here we go. We got the movement map. We get my next state. Is erasing should be true. Honestly, that should go in here. In either case, we do want this to be erasing. Good. And there it is, walking in. So that is right. Now we have this area. Just cheat. See if that still propagates an error. If it does, I need to fix that later. Come on. Yeah, it's still propagating, so we'll deal with that later. But there it is, and it walked on in. So we want to do the same for the second render target. So when I look at the map desert, I want to have a number of these other states called map road states. Material road, colors road, render texture road. So now here we want to have a protected override void update. And I want to do a base update. I'm using the splines. Let me show you. So we have one which is already completed here. Called map home. So let's set the state of map home to be like house. No, let's do windmill. So this is representative of your character going from the windmill to the house. When we run it, gave me an error. Second. Because this needs to be set to home. When this runs now, you can see the spline is what's making this walker move. And then to get that texture, I'm using a render target over here. And I'm erasing those paths. So like that. So now, yeah, I'm using it on all of them now. So now on this map, I've got these map road states. So I can make a new on this one, we want to add a new public, a new map desert component type, and we have trails and road. So this one is trails. And this one is roads state 0. And this time, my material is going to be initial is the foreground and road 1. And we want to make this done in 2 seconds. And then we'll put that on the asset database. Okay. So over here now, our state is this one. We'll add in a spline in a minute. Well, we'll just use this same spline just for simplicity's sake. The game objects visible are these camels. And we'll say it is erasing. Yeah, I remember that. Back in those days. These days I'm writing my own shaders, which is a whole lot of fun. I'm ready to move past Unity, I think. Render texture tricks really are very useful. So that one is working. So in my map desert script, I'm going to do the same thing again, except this is going to be a render target road camera, render target road image for foreground, render target road image background. Okay. And then these two roads. And then we're going to set this pixel apply it. Take my material and set it. And then set it there. Additionally, we have another thing for start movement. This one needs to return a map state. No. Instead, you want to do this You're getting them from your map states. So you can do a base.start movement, and then you can do a next state equals your map road states dot first or default, where my map state SO is a map state desert SO, and my map state desert SO x dot map state SO dot map desert state type is equal to map desert state type dot camels. And then you get the texture, and you're going to set it here to the render texture for the road. And then set your material for the road. And then up here we need to have another public map player script called road player. And now we can test this. This needs to be a void. My IDE is giving me guff today. Okay, so now we've got my render target road camera, my foreground, and my background. And we draw it again. Well, that one worked. It never made the player 2. So I'm going to add another player. And I'm going to call this a road player. And we're going to make this a variant. He's going to be a minus 2,000. Up here, we're going to say public int offset. There. And you can set that as your map player script there. Okay, so that came in. But it never drew the other one. It never set him. They never started the movement. Huh. Still didn't see it do anything. Before we go any further, this one, unlit texture. Let me open this prefab. Unlit texture. So right now on the background, we don't have the road rendered target, but now we do. And now it's drawing the road as well as the steps. So for this, the duration should have been different. So if I look here at my walker, it never changed. So the road player never moved. Which means you never set the spline of it. You do here in set next state. You need to do this a second time for the map road state. And then you need to set your material. They're still coming in the same. My road player never moved. because it is set to erasing. But oh, it's colors road. This is colors road. Down here where you do your start movement, you're setting your spline here. Now this is returning the map road state. If I look at this again, I can see that the speed was set. I can see that the spline walker was set. Start movement. It's like it never made it here. Okay, so here we get my next state. Yep. We set the render texture and that. Start the movement. We should have two of these things walking the spline. You only see that one. So over here in the map desert script, we'll just start by getting rid of this. Try it again. Now it never set the road player variant. It says that it's getting a null because it never set the spline. Try that. Supposed to walk the spline. There. And when it does that, should be setting the material. I don't see it erasing anything. Oh, this is the road player. Still didn't erase anything. It doesn't even have a material on it. Where do you set the render target for the foreground? Here. In the update. Let's do a debug.log here of my local point. Well, this isn't right. Was never getting here because this isn't positive. 2. Okay, that worked. And those are negative values here. So if I was just to eliminate these two things, try that. Not quite. Well, we're close, but I'm out of time for the day. Thanks for staying with me. I'll be back. I'll try to in the morning tomorrow, but if not, a little later this week. Thanks for staying with me. Make sure to check us out at discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com, and I put all these videos up at youtube.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Thanks again, guys, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.